Finance Committee to order. Before we begin, I'd just like to mention to speak on behalf of the Budget Finance Committee, and I imagine all council members on the death of Council Lady Berkeley Allen's sister. Offer our condolences and wishes, and pray that all everything is. I think the funerals went Thursday, so all goes well, and we just pray for her family and friends, and hope that all goes well. With that, we'll start the agenda. RS 2016-208, Pridemore and Gilmore accepts a grant from the State Department of Health to the Metro Board of Health to facilitate the planning, implementation, and evaluation of community-driven and evidence-based health promotion programs. Duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-209, Pridemore and Gilmore sponsors, accepts a grant from the State Department of Health to the Metro Board of Health for Healthy State Start Home Visiting Program Services for qualified families. And duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-210, Pridemore and Gilmore, the sponsors, accepts a grant from the State Department of Health to the Metro Board of Health to provide comprehensive care coordination services to eligible children with special health care needs. And duly seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-211, Pridemore and Gilmore, the sponsors, amends two sub-recipient grant agreements between the Metro Development and Housing Agency and Metro Department of Social Services, Metro Homelessness Commission, to provide rental and utility deposits for individuals. And it's been duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-212, Pridemore and Elrod are the sponsors, approves amendments to three agreements between Metro and the State Department of Environment and Conservation concerning maintenance on closed solid waste disposal facility. And duly seconded. We have discussion. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. This is really more of for clarification and trying to understand this. While I see there's decrease in the amount of money that's allocated, is this actually money that will be spent, or is this kind of in a holding pattern? I was trying to follow, and if it is in a holding pattern, where do we do this since we're not doing the bond? I guess, Mr. Jamison, is that your question?
You have two options. You can issue a bond, or you can enter into a contract that establishes a penal sum if you don't maintain the solid waste site appropriately. That sum diminishes each year because presumably the danger lessens each year. So this is, you'll see a cyclical bill. You'll see a same version next year that reduces it even slightly below this.
Okay, I didn't remember, but so then in essence, then we're not required to keep this money set aside in the event we don't perform this, but this would be the damages that we could possibly incur should we not follow and do our job.
It's a version of liquidated damages. It's a contracted for penal sum that we'd be responsible for.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. See no others in the queue. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-213 approves two intergovernmental agreements between the State Department of Transportation and Department of Public Works for the reimbursement of two railroad crossing safety improvements at McGavick Pike. Councilman Anthony Davis and Pridemore are the sponsors. Do I have a motion? Duly seconded. Councilman Davis, you haven't seeing none in the queue. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-214, Pridemore and Elrod's the sponsors, approves of interlocal agreement between the State Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for paving resurfacing located on Una Antioch Pike. Duly seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-215, Councilman Hager, Roten, and others as sponsors, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the State Department of Transportation and Department of Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements in Old Hickory, Tennessee. Do not have a letter. Councilman Roten
To the heel?
and others.
Nobody's here. Move it to the heel.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll put it at the end of the, we'll move it to the end of the agenda. Councilman Hager was
Did you
it?
sign it? Go ahead, just move it to the heel.
Yeah, we'll move to the end. RS 2016-216, Councilman Hager, Pride Moore, and Elrod are sponsors, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the State Department of Transportation and Department of Public Works for reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements at Pitts Avenue Railroad Crossing. Councilman Hager in here, but sponsors here. Duly seconded. Seeing none in the queue, Council Lady Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to hear more about this. Is this for a beginning of a quiet zone, or these just updates? Somebody just speak to what this is?
It's a repair, but I'll have Director Macy can address that.
All of these railroad contracts are for safety improvements. They typically involve new markings, new signs. Some involve new signals. Would love to get that one that went to the hill back on the approved column. But anyway, does that answer your question?
Council A. Went off.
Thank you, it does. So how do you determine when to update them?
Usually the railroad comes to us with a project, or the state comes to us with a project and proposes to upgrade them.
Okay, so CSX
yes.
does, or
We have,
TDOT?
we have very little money in these projects. In fact, on the one that you're talking about, our share is zero, and it's all federal money, 100%.
So I guess what I'm trying to figure out too, because some of the constituents call me, and we did a quiet zone last year, and it took several years. With some of these upgrades, though, are you evaluating in the rubric that you created last year if these upgrades could go towards moving those areas that want quiet zones? Would they be able to with some of this additional signage and the markings?
It's my understanding that the safety upgrade funds cannot be used for quiet zones.
Okay, thank you.
Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. Director Macy, similar to Councilwoman Gilmore's questions about how these funds can be directed, I wonder if for safe crossing, does that include pedestrians? I know in West Nashville, District 23, we have a crossing where we have a lot of school kids coming from Hillwood and H.G. Hill School. And they are crossing the railroad track and then crossing the road to take the bus. And I just wonder, as we improve these crossings and the signalization, if we are thinking about the people that are crossing these train tracks.
Yes, ma'am. In fact, on the McGavick contract, that includes replacing a sidewalk. So.
Okay, so replacement, but are we doing anything where there is no existing sidewalk or sufficient shoulder?
I have to look. I don't know.
Okay, can you get back to us and maybe in Public Works Committee about that tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Council Lady Gilmore, you have another question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Macy, so I just want to be clear, CSX is providing this money or TDOT is providing the money? I don't think it was clear.
I believe it's federal dollars that flow through TDOT.
Okay, so it's TDOT. And then CSX made the recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no others in the queue, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-217, Councilman Hager, Pridemore, and Elrod approves of intergovernmental agreement between the State Department of Transportation and Metro Department of Public Works for reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements at Pitts Avenue Railroad Crossing. Duly seconded. Seeing none in the queue, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2016-218, Councilman Sledge, Pridemore, and Elrod sponsors, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the State Department of Transportation and Department of Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvement at Nolensville Road. Do I have? And duly seconded. Seeing none in the queue, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. We have one bill on second reading. BL 2016-216, Council Lady Dow, Pridemore, and Elrod sponsors, authorizes Metro to construct a new water main and to acquire property rights for permanent and temporary construction easements for properties located along Bell Road, Mount View Road, and Hickory Hollow Parkway. And duly second. Seeing no questions in the queue, all in favor? Opposed? The motion passes. We'll go back to RS 2016-215. Yeah. I'm going to read the caption again. Approves an intergovernmental agreement between the State Department of Transportation and the Department of Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety and improvements in Old Hickory, Tennessee. Councilman Hager is now present. Duly seconded. Seeing none in the queue, all in favor? Opposed? The motion passes. And that concludes the agenda for the Budget and Finance Committee.